Hello, it's Miss Devlin. Chapter 17. Jeff and Bradley ate lunch together around the side of the building where nobody would bother them. Jeff stood up. "I'll be right back," he said. "I have to go to the bathroom." "Which one?" Bradley asked. "Boys," said Jeff. "Oh," said Bradley. "I'll wait for you here." It was a very long wait. "Hey, Jeff," Robbie called as Jeff stepped out of the bathroom. "Me?" asked Jeff. It surprised him, because Robbie had always called him Fish Nose or Fish Brain. "Come over here," said Robbie. A group of boys was with him. Jeff recognised some from his class, but he didn't know them all. One of the boys had a basketball. "Hi, Jeff," said Brian, a boy from his class. "Hi, Brian," he replied. "How's it going, Jeff?" asked Russell. "Okay." "This is Jeff Fishkin," Robbie told the boys who weren't in his class. "He's the guy who gave Chalkers the black eye." "Way to go, Jeff," said one of the boys who didn't know. "Oh, all right, Jeff," said another. "Oh, man, would I have liked to have seen that. Man, when I saw Chalker's eye today," said Robbie, "I just smiled. And then when I found out you got called to the principal office, I thought, way to go, Jeff." "You didn't get in trouble, did you, Jeff?" asked Dan. Jeff shook his head. "They probably gave him a medal," said Russell, laughing. The others laughed too. "You like to play basketball, Jeff?" asked Andy, the boy with the basketball. "Sure," said Jeff. They chose teams. Robbie and Andy were captains. Robbie had first pick. "I got Jeff," he said, and Jeff beamed. They played basketball for the remainder of the lunch period. Jeff's team won, but it was also the team with 5 players. The other team only had 4. Everyone told him he played a great game. "I always wondered why a guy like you was hanging around with Chalkers," said Robbie. "I guess it just took you a while to find out who your real friends were." Jeff smiled. These were the kind of friends he had had back in his old school in Washington, D.C. Of course, it meant he couldn't be friends with Bradley anymore, but he shrugged. Chapter 18. From around the corner of the brick building, Bradley watched the end of Jeff's basketball game. Every time Jeff took a shot, Bradley prayed he'd miss. When the bell rang, he hurried back to class ahead of Jeff and the other boys. He sat at his desk, last seat, last row, and took out one of his books. It didn't matter which one. He stared at it very intently as Jeff sat down next to him. Well, maybe it was okay for Jeff to have other friends, he decided as he turned a page. I'm still his best friend. That's what he told the principal. Jeff wouldn't lie to the principal. Maybe I'll get to play basketball with his new friends too, like Carla said. "Jeff," he whispered. He wanted to tell Jeff that everything was still okay and they could still be friends. "Hey, Jeff." Jeff didn't look up from his work. Jeff works hard, Bradley realised. That's how he gets all the gold stars. He'd have to wait until after school. "Hey, Jeff," he said as soon as the bell rang. Jeff picked up his books and started out the door. Bradley hurried after him. "Jeff," he called, "wait up." Jeff stopped and slowly turned around. Bradley suddenly felt very nervous. "Do you want to do our homework together?" he asked. "I can come over to your house if you want, or you can come over to mine. We can use my book, see?" He showed Jeff his book. "Hey, out of the way, Chalkers," said Robbie, as he and Brian pushed past. "Chicken Chalkers," said Brian. "Yeah, Chalkers," said Jeff. Bradley walked away. He heard Jeff and his new friends laughing behind him. But when he got home, his own friends were very glad to see him. "We're so glad you're home," said Ronnie. "We missed you. We're glad you didn't go over to Jeff's house." "You're our best friend," said Bartholomew. "Hooray for Bradley," shouted the wooden hippopotamus. "Hip, hip, hooray," yelled all the other animals. "Hip, hip, hooray." "Hip, hip," said the hippo one last time. "Hooray." "Let's play a game," said the donkey. "What do you want to play?" asked Ronnie. "Anything but basketball," said Bartholomew. "I hate basketball." "Basketball's a stupid game," Ronnie agreed. "It's the worst game in the world," said the hippopotamus. "Why would anybody want to play basketball?" laughed the ivory donkey. And all the other animals laughed too. Chapter 19. Everything returned to normal. Bradley scribbled, cut up bits of paper and taped things together. He hated everyone and everyone hated him. That was the way he liked it. He shuddered whenever he remembered that he had actually almost done his homework. He couldn't imagine anything more horrible than that. And he was glad that Jeff wasn't his friend anymore. He realised he was better off without friends. In fact, he was never friends with Jeff. I was just pretending to be his friend. He decided he'd never pretend to be anybody's friend ever again. Jeff was normal now too. That's what he told Carla. He walked into her office and announced, "I don't need any help anymore. I've 8 friends now. We play basketball every recess and lunch, and I'm the best player." "Good for you, Jeff," said Carla. "I'm very proud of you." "How many friends have you made?" he asked. "I don't keep score," said Carla. "Well, I've made 8, said Jeff. I've always considered quantity to be more important than quality when it comes to friendship, said Carla. 8, Jeff repeated, and I'm not friends with Bradley anymore either. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why? I'm not. I hate him. In fact, he looked around the room, I gave him a black eye. He quickly glanced at Carla to see if she knew that he was lying. Then he looked away. What happened? Carla asked. Oh, you know, he wouldn't stop bothering me. I kept telling him to get lost, but he kept on hanging around. I never liked him. No one does. Then he said to me, give me $1 or I'll spit on you. Well, no one threatens me and gets away with it. I don't take that from nobody. So he tried to hit me, but I ducked, then I punched his face in. I didn't want to do it, but I had no choice. That was the short version. Jeff had told that same story to his 8 new friends, but he usually made it much longer. So I don't think I need to see a counsellor anymore, he said, since I've got 8 friends. OK, Jeff, if that's how you feel, said Carla. They might think I'm weird or something, he explained. Well, we can't have them thinking that. Does that mean I can go? Carla nodded. But any time you want to talk again, please feel free and come and see me, she smiled, even if you just feel like getting out of class for a while. He left, glad to be out of there. On his way back to class, he walked past the girls' bathroom. He stopped, shook his head, and chuckled to himself. It seemed like it was such a long time ago when he accidentally went in there. I used to be such a jerk, he thought. He smiled a strange smile, stretched his mouth so wide it was hard to tell whether it was a smile or a frown.